9 things Johnny Carson took to the grave remain some of the most enduring mysteries in television history. For 30 years, Johnny Carson invited America into their homes 5 nights a week, his familiar face, signature golf swing, and Midwestern charm making millions feel like they truly knew him. But the truth was, we barely knew Carson at all. Behind that warm smile and perfect comic timing was perhaps the most private superstar in entertainment history, a man who kept his real thoughts, deepest emotions, and personal struggles locked away with extraordinary discipline. Johnny created an illusion of intimacy while revealing almost nothing about himself, explained a former NBC executive. He perfected a one-way friendship with America. Viewers felt close to him, but he maintained an emotional distance that was unprecedented for someone on television every night. This remarkable restraint was no accident. It was deliberate. Carson had a saying around the studio, "The minute they know who you really are, the magic is gone." Even after retiring in 1992, he kept his silence. He never wrote a memoir, never gave a comprehensive interview, never embarked on a farewell tour. When he died in 2005, he left behind no final statement. As his longtime producer Peter Lasley said, he believed some things should remain private, even after death. Tonight, we explore 9 mysteries Carson deliberately took to the grave. One of the most fascinating was his secret final goodbye, or lack thereof, to Joan Rivers. Their spectacular falling out remains one of television's most infamous breakups. After years as Carson's permanent guest host and apparent heir, Rivers accepted her own late-night show in 1986 without telling him directly. His response was swift. She was banned from The Tonight Show, and the ban outlasted Carson himself, remaining until Jimmy Fallon welcomed her back in 2014. While Rivers spent years speaking openly about the rift and her regret, Carson never addressed it publicly. He refused her calls, returned her letters unopened, and instructed his staff never to mention her name. It wasn't just that he was angry, said a former NBC executive. It was as if he was determined to erase her. Why? That remains a mystery. Did he feel betrayed professionally, wounded personally, or was there something deeper? He never said, and he took those feelings to the grave. Another mystery lies in his real feelings about Bob Hope's later appearances. On camera, Carson treated Hope with reverence, laughing at his jokes and showing deference to the comedy legend. Behind the scenes, however, he reportedly loathed those segments. Hope's rigid reliance on canned jokes, with little room for genuine conversation, grated on Carson, who valued spontaneity. Staff described it as like propping up a wax figure. Yet Carson never showed frustration on air. He continued to book Hope, smiling through appearances he reportedly dreaded, but never explained why. Was it out of respect, pressure from NBC, or some deeper sense of obligation? Only Johnny knew, and he kept that secret locked away. Carson also kept silent about his real feelings toward his father. He offered only brief, sanitized glimpses of his childhood, describing his father as distant but refusing to elaborate. Friends and psychologists suggested this relationship shaped Carson's adult personality, his emotional detachment, perfectionism, and difficulty maintaining intimacy. But Carson never explored or discussed those connections, not even in private moments. Unlike modern celebrities who share their family struggles openly, Carson believed dignity required privacy. Whatever he felt about his father, he considered it his business alone, and when he died, those emotions went with him. Another enduring question: who was Carson's closest confidant? Despite being one of the most famous men in America, he kept a remarkably small inner circle. Some assumed it was Ed McMahon, his loyal sidekick, but their bond was primarily professional. Others thought it might be his brother Dick, or his lawyer Henry Bombastic Bushkin. Yet Carson never confirmed anyone as his emotional anchor. If Johnny had a true confidant, he kept that person's identity private, one associate explained. Even in death, no one emerged as the one who truly knew him best. Equally enigmatic were Carson's political beliefs. For 3 decades, he remained politically neutral on air, poking fun at everyone without revealing his own leanings. Privately, some said he leaned socially liberal and fiscally conservative, but Carson never confirmed it. "People invite me into their bedrooms to help them fall asleep, not to tell them how to vote," he once said. Unlike today's late-night hosts, Carson kept politics at bay, ensuring viewers of all stripes felt welcome. When he passed, he left no manifesto, no interview, no indication of what he truly believed. Another unanswered question is whether Carson wanted to come back after retirement. When he left The Tonight Show in 1992, he did what almost no one in Hollywood does. He stayed retired. Despite constant offers and millions on the table, he never returned, except for quietly slipping jokes to David Letterman. Did he miss the spotlight? Did he fear tarnishing his legacy? Was he content in Malibu with sailing and astronomy? We may never know. His silence left only speculation. Then there's the mystery of who made him laugh the hardest off camera. On stage, Carson's laugh was genuine but measured. Privately, he had an entirely different laugh, uncontrolled, childlike, even tearful, but very few ever witnessed it. While comedians like Don Rickles, George Carlin, or Richard Pryor might have been among those who cracked him, Carson never revealed who truly bypassed his professional filters. It remained one of the small, guarded joys he never shared with the public. Carson also hid what really happened during his breakdowns. Occasionally, he disappeared from The Tonight Show for weeks at a time, officially due to illness or exhaustion. Insiders claim these were actually periods of emotional crisis. Divorce, personal conflicts, or career stress reportedly pushed him to the edge, but NBC covered it up with guest hosts and excuses. Carson never spoke of it. Not during his career, not in retirement. Even colleagues were expected to pretend nothing had happened once he returned. What really went on during those dark times remains unknown. Finally, Carson's feelings about his legacy are perhaps the greatest mystery of all. Unlike most legends, he never wrote a book, never gave a farewell interview, never defined how he wanted to be remembered. He left his legacy in the hands of others, refusing to shape the narrative himself. Some say it reflected humility. Others believe it was his ultimate act of control. The minute you start talking about your place in history, you're admitting your history, he once said. And so he left the question unanswered, even in death. In the end, the man who made America laugh for 3 decades kept his biggest secrets to himself. These 9 mysteries, his silence about Joan Rivers, his feelings toward Bob Hope, his father, his confidant, his politics, his retirement, his private laughter, his breakdowns, and his legacy, paint a picture not just of a private man, but of a philosophy. Carson believed mystery was essential, that dignity required privacy, and that not everything should be turned into entertainment. In an age of constant exposure, his silence stands out as both radical and timeless.